Drum roll.
Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
I'm Janelle Pizarro.
And I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology
that love what they do
and do tech good.
Do
boom,
tech, baka
baka.
Thank you, everyone. Baka. You know it, then you don't. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again. We honestly appreciate it. Sincerely, thank you for joining us, spending a little bit of time with us, and hope you enjoy this episode. Please go to the YouTube and subscribe, hit the notification button. Also, go to iTunes, subscribe there, and please give us a review. Go to thundernerds.io/review, and that will send you off to iTunes land and provide us a review. We would really love to get your review and read it on the air. And speaking of which,
I'm going to read one on the air. It is titled A Platform for New and Old School Techs by D. Lamone, I believe is how you say it. It's true conversations with real people behind the technology, from early Atari gaming to the latest UX tools with a real-life day-to-day implementation. From going to Mars, getting your MBA, self-helps with crowdsourced development, to building your tech empire. The conversations start here. Thunder Nerds, creativity is from the heart. Aw, thank you. That's perfect. Yay. That's beautiful.
From in here, thank you so much. Yeah, you know, it took me a minute to think about that one from Mars, because we did have a gentleman that talked about Mars and how he's on a project about that. But, you know, I think you got something.
Yeah, so we will be reading your questions live. So if you have any questions for Pedro, definitely give us a tweet. That'd be pretty cool. Or, you know, ask them in the YouTube comments, or tweet us directly. Like, we're totally cool with that. I'm cool with it. Do it. It's fine.
Yeah, the YouTube live chat.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah, do that. Or tweet us. That's fine. Tweeting. Do how you do. But
do how you do.
Yeah, do how you do. It's fine. So we also have a Patreon. That's pretty super cool. Our Patreon gives you access to super cool, fun stuff. Really just, we love you guys so much, and we want to give you as much content as possible. But, you know, we also, you know, would like for you to show us your love in like some little monetary kind of ways, like maybe a quarter here, $1 here, a bajillion dollars there, you know, whatever. But yeah, we definitely love giving you some content, and I think being a patron on Patreon is a really great way to get that extra sneak peek stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to patreon.com. Is it patreon.com or .io? I don't remember.
I think it's .com.
.com/ThunderNerds. Boom. Do it. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our guest, everyone. We have a super interesting and awesome guy that actually came back on the show. We had him way back in the day. Well, in 2007, I believe, Brian, right? Oh, no, early 2008.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and 18, excuse me. We have senior product designer, speaker, musician, coder, Pedro Marquez. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. After the intro, I feel good.
As you should. We're very excited to have you, man. Yeah, we only have the cream of the crop.
That's awesome.
Pedro, how was your Halloween? Do you do Halloween over there?
It's not a big of a thing here, because they have another celebration on November that's very similar. But yeah, you do see like some kids going out of school dressed as, like, I don't know, with pumpkin hats and stuff like that. But it's not big of a deal. And in November, there's a different one that's, I actually have to buy candy, otherwise kids would throw stuff at my window. So
really? Dang.
Wait, and where are you, Pedro?
I'm right now. I'm in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands.
Jeez. Okay, so wait.
Before we get to that, do you mind if I just show off my Halloween mask?
Just go for it. Totally.
Yeah, because it's pretty cool. I went to Spencer's Gifts and I said, I need the handsomest mask you could find. And here it is.
Oh,
jeez. I love Alton Brown's stuff and
meatloaf.
I'm a handsome mask. You like
I want one of those.
Yeah, they sell them for $55 a mask. Apparently, they go like hotcakes.
And yes, our audio listeners, it is my face.
You guessed it. Sorry to interrupt you, Janelle.
Yeah. So, what time is it over there right now?
It's midnight right now, so I'm in my bedtime.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for being with us.
No, thank you for having me. This is really, really, really exciting, and it's not that late. Otherwise, I'll be playing video games, and I'm doing something way more useful. So that's great.
I did want to ask, what is it like being like Brazilian in a kind of Amsterdam kind of culture?
It's definitely different, I'd say, because culturally, their countries are like, I think they couldn't be different. They couldn't be like far apart, and not just geographically, but yeah, Brazilians we're super warm, and like we have this. We're famous for that, and it's interesting because Amsterdam is a very international city, so everyone here is from somewhere else, even from within the Netherlands. So everyone's like super welcoming, and whenever you say like, "Oh, I'm Brazilian," people get super excited and they want to ask questions about it. So it's definitely welcoming, but it's culturally and these things. It takes some getting used to.
Do you make things up about Brazil, like something just crazy?
All the time, all the time.
We eat pumpkins for breakfast every day.
Yeah, I was at a party once, and this guy is like, "Oh, do you guys really have like monkeys and stuff?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm actually super sad that I couldn't bring my monkey with me to the Netherlands, and I even made up a name for it. And I was
right now.
It's back home, and I didn't. I forgot to tell it was a lie. So like through like half of the party, guy actually believed, and he talked to someone else about it. So that was funny.
That's so awesome. I remember a story you were telling on one of your videos, and I don't remember which conference you were at, but you were talking about how you got this Google device for your air condition, and you were setting it up, and you were going into the whole reactive kind of talk, and it was about how you wanted it warm in your house when you came home because it was so cold, so you were trying to like go back and forth with that, and made me think of that. Do you still put the temperature way up?
Yeah, actually, I just took off my hoodie because it's now it's. I was like, it's like 16 degrees outside, like Celsius, and I'm like, I think I feel like 22 degrees, like summer vibe. It's nice, so it's quite a bit too warm right now. But then probably the NAS turn it off because it knows that I don't want to. I want the warmth, but I want to pay for it.
That makes sense. Hey, Brian, translate the Celsius for me.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, let me pull up Google.
I think 16 is about 50.
Oh, that sounds actually nice. That could be right.
Yeah, that sounds right. We'll go with that, 50. So you are working at a new place since last we talked. Do you mind telling us where you're at now?
Yes. The last time we talked, I was at Booking.com, and right now I'm at Adyen. And Adyen is a payment provider. It's a fintech, and we provide payments for like everyone. So here in Europe, like when people ask, like, "Oh, where do you work?" I'm like, "I'll just open your bank statement, and you'll
see me there."
Yeah, you see
how much you make.
You see my little face there taking money out of your account because we do payments for everyone, like big companies like Facebook, Google, Spotify, Netflix, all these people, and it's nice. It's definitely something new for me, but it's great.
So, how did you go from Booking to there? What was the transition?
I think I wanted to go with like maybe a smaller company because Booking, a lot of people don't realize, but it's massive, and it's like 1,500 people working, like 15,000 people working in the company. It's gigantic, and I wanted maybe a smaller company that's like growing a lot. So I wanted to catch something not like fully grown, but in the path to that. And I just saw the opportunity, and I talked to the head of design there, Nick, and we hit it off. And I really like the company, the culture, and the people. And I thought, okay, I can grow and I can add a lot of value, and that's fun.
Nice, yeah. So, what would you say your day-to-day is then there now?
My day-to-day. My first thing, literally the first thing I do every morning after I get my coffee is take a look at people's feedback. I have this little nifty dashboard with feedback from users and support tickets and stuff. So I just like to take a look at those and see just what's going on, and see that maybe someone is asking something, but then it's actually some part of the UX that's broken, then and people might not know about. So that's literally the first thing I do every day. Uh, then I participate a lot on product decisions, and I usually sit down with like the front end team to figure out where we are with things and what we're gonna build next and so on. And some days I get to design. And yeah, it's a lot of just making sure design happens within my product, and making sure things move forward, and just keeping the user in mind.
I like that, making sure that design happens. I like that. That's a good.
Yeah, because a lot of design actually happens outside of design. It's like, to be able to design something nice or something very good, you need someone to enable that mindset on a higher level of organization. So that's something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm usually good at making my problems other people's problems and making them care about it. So that's what I like.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things you bring there too is your perspective on AI and machine learning, and I think Janelle has a thing about that we're going to talk about, right?
Well, yeah, but I really wanted to know before that, really tell us some ways that we could kind of learn how to make our problems other people's problems that they care about, I guess. Not necessarily be like, hey, fix my problem.
That's how the way that sounded. That was kind of funny.
Fix all of my problems, please, thank you. I don't want to say. More of like, hey, I have this problem, and then people might not care about it, but you make them care, right? Like, this is a very important thing. Like, let's have this thing be important together, right? Let's both care about it. Let's both have some weight in the game, some skin in the game, I guess. How do you go about doing that?
It's a matter of framing, because like you said, like, oh, like, this is a big problem, let's solve it. That it's great when that works, but sometimes when we designers, we keep making jokes like, oh, we want to sit at a table, but then when we get to the table, we have no idea what to do. And I think this seat at the table part is where, like, okay, we have this clear UX problem we have to fix. Yeah, it's a problem, but how are you going to tell people that this is a problem? If you're talking to someone, a commercial person, you need to talk in their terms. Like, hey, we solve this problem, we can get this and this feature out quicker and more quickly, or we can do this and this other thing, and this will help you have a better narrative to sell things to your prospects. So you just made this their problem. If you're talking to a product person, or more like a more strategic internal product person, you can go like, okay, if we fix this, we get less tickets for support. If we get less tickets in support, we spend less money in support, and support has more time to spend solving that other big problem. So it's just a matter of knowing the end goal of what you want to design for, and just showing to everyone that if they help, you also solving a problem of their own that maybe they didn't even know they had.
What is some of the biggest challenges that you come across when you're trying to do that?
I think even as designers, we still have a lot of the lipstick on a pig situation, where people think of design as like an afterthought, and and I think that's probably the hardest part. Just trying to show people that, hey, designers should be included in the conversation from day one, and for me, that's the hardest thing. So sometimes someone will set off and make a commercial decision that will affect the product, but maybe a product designer or even like a product manager wasn't involved in that decision, and that will just be bad, because that's not very good teamwork. So it's literally just showing people that what we do matters a lot, and is not an afterthought, and is it's a vital part of the strategy, and you should have a saying on yes and no's and how to's. So I think that's the hard part.
Yeah, bringing everyone together at the same table on the topic at hand.
Yeah, it's really hard. But we designers, we have a card to play because we're very we know, like with the empathy, the user research, understanding user needs, and all of that. I think knowing how you use that card also in a corporate environment, it's very handy. We're the people.
How do you go about using those kinds of skills with what you kind of focus in on, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question because the main reason I got into it was that we're not involved on it. But then if you want to look at it like, oh, why we designers not involved in these decisions, is that we might maybe lack the technical aspect of it. So actually knowing how it works and how to use it, how to plan for it. And it's a weird part. So like, okay, if I get to learn a bit of the technical part, then I have more knowledge to actually sit at a table and talk to data scientists, to everyone, and just slide my perspective in and just make my problems their problems, and then everyone solve all the problems. So that's why the main reason I got interested on this, and just to see how far I need to go in order to be able to help on the decisions that people make in that. So that's why.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds killer. Like, did you just like pick up little things here and there, kind of like for fun, and then kind of got into it? Or how did you fall into, literally designing for artificial intelligence and for, the computer learning, right? Like how do you even design for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so back at Booking, when I worked for quite a while with like consumer psychology, and it's this really borderline creepy thing that you're just trying to understand, like mental models, how people think, and then how you can help them maybe think better about one decision and thinking less about another one, because that's not important right now. So how do you just to help them focus? And when you start learning about that, you see that it has a structure, and people think similarly. The outputs are different because they have different baggages, they have a different past, and that's basically what machine learning is. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And this new team opened up, and they were solely focused on machine learning and recommendation and ranking. And I was like, well, that sounds fun, let's try and go for it. And then I did, and bringing the design in was great because the whole point of the machine learning thing is that it learns from data, and giving it the right data is crucial. And as a designer, you can just try to come up with ways to fit interaction stuff and into that, and just it helps a lot. So it's a little bit of designing the invisible, but it's there's a lot of work to do there.
Yeah, I like how that one talk you were describing how to understand the fundamentals of machine learning, where you were showing pictures of, I don't know if you remember this one, but you were showing pictures of an apple, and this is not an apple. And there was some fruit that people didn't know that you're like, yeah, this is fruit you maybe only find in Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. I still don't know how to pronounce the name of that fruit in English. I still don't know. I always put that in the presentation, and I'm always like, why? I don't know how to pronounce this. I don't know why I do this to me.
Well, it's funny. I think everybody got a kick out of it. But the point of it is, like, it's not just some kind of magical Max Headroom kind of thing, or like Watson, you plug it into the wall and it just figures things out. It's about those. It's about training. It's about behaviors, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The whole point of that is just to demystify it. Did I say that correctly? Yeah. Demystify it, to just show like, hey, this is not magic. This is literally 1+1 differentiating apples and oranges. And it's as simple as that. Like, if you want to code a machine learning model, you can do like a hello world machine learning model with 6 lines of code, and that's it. And that just takes the magic out of it and just makes it a more informed discussion than I don't know, like an AI would take over the word discussion.
Well, should we fear AI at all? Like, what do you think? Like, what's your view on it?
We should fear us. We are the ones that bring demise upon ourselves. Jesus.
There was a recent kind of creepy thing to me. I think it was Turkey or Greece, somewhere in Europe, they're doing a border AI thing where when you come to the border, they're going to scan your face for basically whether you lie about questions, and it'll determine whether a border guard comes up and inspects your belongings.
Wow.
Yeah,
Black Mirror.
That's kind of creepy to me. Yeah, right?
the biggest problem of the word is like putting these things to commercial use, which is you're always gonna get people trying to make shitty things out of it and like enforcing things that shouldn't be enforced, like borders. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not very scared of it. It's more of a it's
So the
more of a
robot.
discussion. Is yeah, like the robot
DARPA.
uprising. It's more a discussion on whether we as humans of what we do, what we want, what kind of decisions we want to outsource to a thing that we don't have full control of. That's a more will we be our demise or a AI? I think it's always us. So
You mean like, are we going to have robots, for lack of a better term, be our governments?
yeah, exactly. So that could be something that could potentially could happen, because if you can talk about that in a very in a way that it will make sense and people might buy into it, but that might not be the best solution. Like one very simple example is now there's a bunch of companies doing this like cancer. They can identify if it's something is like skin cancer or not with a better precision than doctors, because it's a very visual thing. So machines do that task better. But if we let's say now that all the doctors are using that, so they will stop having to make a decision whether something is cancer or not, because the machine would be doing for it. So in a way, we might be dumbing us down and outsourcing that knowledge, and that's my fear. So is that right now? I don't think it's bad, but someday it might be a problem.
Yeah, that it is kind of terrifying to have to like think about that, right? Like think about like the good and also the bad. And I think maybe you probably have to experience it a lot, especially at Adyen, because you know you've got people's financial kind of futures and current life to design for. So how do you go about like looking at all the repercussions that could possibly be good or bad that come from designing for machine learning and artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so especially in the financial industry, it's a very old industry, of course, and is an industry that's in general reluctant to change a little bit. And when you talk about machine learning and things like that, then you get to the point where the computer says no situation, where you don't know why it said no. And that's the big problem, because for me, and also the financial industry, because people in the financial industry, they like to have control over how things operate, how things work. And if you put that in a black box that outputs a message and, hey, here is your new system up and running, but we don't know how it works, it just works. That's not a very good thing to have. So the challenge that comes with design on that is building on trust. It's a lot on I see design working that way in two phases. In the initial phase on conceptualizing the product, and in the phase of making people trust on it. And just like a booking, for example, when I would want to recommend something to someone, I would go up and say like, hey, I think you want to go to this place because of this and that, because I have control of how the machine made that decision. And in the financial industry, that's a problem, and also at Adyen. So it's something that we still have to figure out as an industry.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. I love that you said trust too. That's like amazing that you have that in mind when you're designing, that you want to trust, have your users trust you in every sense of the way, right? Like with their data.
Yeah, exactly. And not just that, like because if you AI machine learning, the whole point of it is just making better decisions, but a better is very subjective. and but sometimes it's mathematically or statistically not, and you have to convince that person like, hey, you can trust me, and here's why you can trust me. And that's the part where us designers are can like ace through it, because we're great at that, because like I said before, we empathize and we talk to people, and not a lot of people do that as their daily job.
Yeah. Mm.
It's fine. It's just nice. But the machines will not take over. I will not allow them.
I don't think you have any control over that, according to Mr. Elon.
You'll be
That's
a part
true.
of the rebellion, the uprising against the AI.
Yeah. I mean, when they finally take over, they'll be like, "Oh, Pedro helped us, so we're gonna spare him." That's my whole plan. That's my whole plan all along.
We'll kill you last. Stand
Will you
over
be
there.
using the foam finger to like lead?
What?
What's that?
Will you be using the foam finger to lead?
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
For
Yes,
our
I'll be
audio
like-
listeners, there is a foam finger being held up.
I'll be like this and this. No.
They might listen to you more because, like, well, look at his hand and finger.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
obviously.
Like, what
He's
is
in
that?
charge.
What is that? What is that thing?
Yeah, someone bestowed that upon him. He must be smart. All right, whatever, buddy. You read organic. That's our slang for us humans. You organic.
Organic.
Oh, Janelle, I know you gotta head out, right?
Yeah, I do. I have to spend time with my little brother that I don't get to see. So it was nice meeting you, Pedro. Bye,
It
everybody.
was great. Bye, Janelle.
See you later, Janelle. So, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Pedro, is I like the statement that you put in your LinkedIn bio. And if you don't mind me reading it and asking you about it.
Before we
Yeah.
go off from the AI, I'm curious. I have
Yeah,
like
sure,
one
go ahead.
question. I know you can't go into great details because it's internal technologies and things like that. But I'm curious, what does AI offer in the financial sector? Like, what can AI do to help individuals?
Yeah. So, for example, the product that I work with, it's a fraud prevention tool. So it basically stops bad actors for performing payments and doing all kinds of shady stuff, like, I don't know, money laundering, or all the just stealing someone's identity and buying stuff. So my whole job is to stop that, to build a tool to stop that. And this tool is largely based on rules. Like, if a credit card holder from Utah is buying something in Finland and delivering it to Japan, that looks shady. And
Red flag, possibly?
yeah, possibly. So, but these rules historically they're configured by they are configured by all the companies because they know their customers and they know their business. But sometimes with machine learning, we can help them make better decisions because we have more data. So is in this kind of situations that machine learning can play a huge role. But yeah, like I said, we still have a lot to figure out on the transparency and actually how we're gonna implement it as an industry, not just as Adyen. But yeah, this is one application of it, just for like to try and stop fraudsters for doing bad things to people.
What do you think about some of the AI investment applications or services, like things where they make micro investments based on, I have a few little bits of change every day that I want to invest every time I make a purchase, or by the end of the day, I want to invest $5 a day, take it and be smart with it and go.
These are things are great applications for it because they're not you keeping the risk of it contained. So it's not something that might not set loose and just take all your money and just I don't know, just go somewhere. And it does this task because like the whole artificial intelligence thing, the AI naming, I don't like it very, very much, to be honest, because
it's not really an intelligence yet.
No, because it's the opposite. It's because it is. My problem was with the artificial part because it is intelligent, it is doing something, and you give it a task, you perform that task, like this, like doing day trades and this kind of stuff, and I think that's great because then it works for everyone and people can benefit out of it. So I really like those applications. I'm only afraid of the large scale ones.
But isn't most AI technically just a large set of data and a complex if else
Just patterns. Yeah.
Patterns, and not really a true intelligence that it has like a neural network that analyzes it and like it spans itself as to me, that's what AI is. It's not just what I initially explained. Like what do you like? How do you define AI yourself, actually?
So what is AI is more a philosophical question than a technical question.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it's like
That's
it
fair.
goes on the artificial, on what is intelligence, what is a person, what is humanity, blah blah blah, all those things.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. But what you mentioned about if analysis, that's the main way that machine learning and deep learning and AI differ from normal programming, because instead of writing the rules, you give it the results, and then from the results you figure out ways to get there again, and then build decision trees and all of that. So you actually don't build ifs analysis, and you would just say like, hey, this is there's actually a very good website that goes it's called Visual Guide to Machine Learning. It's awesome. I can send the link and then you can put it in the show notes, because it just gives this great explanation on how exactly this structure works. But it's not a bunch of ifs analysis, because it's learning like a person would do. You just say like,
I was simplifying it.
yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the deep learning and this neural network part, that's the part where you don't have control over it. And the machine itself can keep creating new nodes and making new decisions that you will never know about. And that would be more like a intelligent kind of thing. But I'm not sure we're there yet. And even if we are, we probably don't know, because we don't know how to actually put it in a box and define it. So it's kind of weird.
I'm sure that's around the corner.
Yeah, probably. I mean, these things happen so fast, man. Because if you look at like movie predictions and stuff from years ago, a lot of them are very off. Like, I don't have my flying skateboard, but a lot of them actually fell short. There's a movie, it's called Minority Report, with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Best movie he's ever made, no questions. And the movie is like this weird thing where they predict crime before it happens and they arrest people. They predict this to like 2050 something, but we actually can do this nowadays, and it's kind of creepy.
Oh yeah, who is
our last guest? Laura was just talking about that. How
exactly.
There was a bunch of protesters that
pre-arrests.
That they pre-arrested, that they thought they would cause some trouble during the royal wedding. Which pre-arresting people, that's nuts.
Well, there's also who was it? The woman who works for Chick-fil-A. She wrote that AI app that basically you could take a picture of someone and determine if you're at risk. She made this app it was a very simple AI app that she made. Do you remember, Frederick, what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to look up to see who you were talking about.
But I mean, that sort of stuff is just like that border detection, like determining someone is lying. To me, I come up to this screen that is asking me questions. I'm like, why is asking me?
It was Keisha Williams, Brian.
Oh yeah, Keisha. I love Keisha.
Yeah, Keisha's awesome. Yeah, she wrote that thing, and yeah, that's creepy. Yeah, it went and it was like a live Twitter thing, so you could go into it and then you could send it out, and it would send you a picture back or the information back from the picture to give you like this is this or this is that, just making some guesses.
That's a cool concept, but kind of creepy.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of movies and stuff like fell short, like this movie, because they predicted it to be this thing in 2000 and whatever something, and we're doing it already.
Yeah,
but that's not actually good.
and we don't need psychics. And
exactly. And like, I mean, yeah, the Bethel part, I would like that, but
do you want to just sit in the bathtub all day with your head shaved and predict crime? Bring me a pie. I don't know. There was something happened in New Jersey. Of course, I was right.
Exactly.
That's funny. So, if Brian, if you don't mind me jumping off this topic and going to something else, or you're okay. So, what I wanted to ask you before is, and I think this is pretty interesting. I want to ask you about this thing that you wrote in your LinkedIn bio that you say this. I'm quoting. I strongly believe that knowledge should be shared. So, in my spare time, I speak at conferences, universities, schools, and write articles on design, web development, and machine learning. So first, I want to dive into what kind of things that you speak about. I want to talk about some of the places, because you cite universities and schools, not just conferences. But really, I want to know where you got this interest in sharing knowledge, and where does that come from?
It comes a lot from, because me personally, I don't have a degree. I don't have a formal education on anything. So everything I learned and other things that I do, I don't know, like Googled it, and now I know. Now I'm a professional in some of them, and that's because someone put stuff out there, and I could learn from it. And so it was there for free, up for grabs, and I grabbed it. Of course, I had like the privilege of having access to the internet and so on, so it's not entirely free and for everyone. But I strongly believe that the more we put out there, the more we can help people on understanding any topic, or just developing their careers, or finding means of making money to help their families. That's great. And we don't need fancy universities for that. We don't need fancy schools. Sometimes you just need, like, tell someone it's possible, and just show them an example, and that's already enough in a bunch of the cases. So I think that's where it comes from.
I love that. Yeah, it's just like you said, man. It's all about community, because I think a lot of us in this industry, and pretty much any industry in the technical realm, you get so much from community. You learn. You could watch a podcast like this, or you could go to something like User Defenders and hear all the great guests that Jason has, or you could watch Keyframers and learn how to do some CSS grid and things like that. And like all that stuff's out there, like you said, for free, if you have the privilege of being able to access the internet. But being able to Google, or you know what I mean, like be able to do your own research, and more importantly, have that drive within yourself to want to learn, to want to spend the time and make yourself a little bit better, and help better the lives of those that you care for. Like having that within you is pretty important.
Yeah, like what you mentioned, like having, because you can Google it, but you need interest before, and that's where I think I try to make a difference more, because there are 100 other people that are way better at all these things that I say that I do, that they can explain it way better and teach people way better. But maybe there are not a lot of people just telling people that this is available. So just like removing the magic out of it, in a way, and just saying like, hey, this is here. Like with the conferences and schools and stuff. I like big conferences. They're fun. It's nice to go up on a stage with like people filming and all that things. It's nice. It feels good. But going to like a school in my home country, or going in speaking a conference, or like a small meetup somewhere that doesn't have like a very well developed UX or design scene, and just showing what is out there, I see a lot of value in that, and that's what I really like.
Did you go to Brazil? Did you speak there and share some of this knowledge? That's all. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I went back twice. Yeah, twice to speak. One was like a very small event, and was with the people that are not like exactly in the industry, but more interest. So I went there and I spoke about digital design and UX and A/B testing. Then I went back again, but to talk more on like how you can scale design and research in a way that's not expensive. So basically, for people that are working in companies that don't have a lot of means, how you can actually get user input in a cheap and fast way. That you don't need all those fancy things that all the Airbnbs and Booking.coms do. You can't just do other things, and that was a lot of it. So I did that in Brazil. Yeah,
Just giving you some room, Brian.
Oh, making it awkward. I was looking something up.
Okay. No. Okay, great. So, what other kind of schools do you speak at, or besides? Obviously, you said in Brazil. Like where in Amsterdam or over around in Europe that you also talk at? You said universities, for example. Let's talk about universities.
Yeah, for universities, I did most of like organized by universities. I did in Brazil, but there are other conferences that are held in universities, and they most of the people are from schools and stuff, like the one we spoke at in Florida, that was very like focused on folks that might not be in the area, but already like designers or just want to develop more. And those are the kind of things that I like the most. Here in Amsterdam, I'm still talking to the design to this, I forgot the name. It's like University of School in Arts and something, and they have this design program, and they like when people from the industry go there and talk to people that are like just starting on their degrees and stuff. But yeah, other than that, I went to Russia. I spoke in
Oh
Moscow
wow.
in for product people, not for designers. So again, just making my problem their problems. And in Istanbul as well. It was also like a more community-driven event for people that want to get in the industry and want to know what's out there.
Now, are you invited to these, or do you just seek them out and
Walks in.
yeah, do you just walk in and be like, "I'm here."
I'm speaking, guys. Off the stage, here I come. Pedro in the house.
A bunch of this conference, they have this call for papers before, and you can apply. But then you apply to one, and then this person knows this person. Then you get to like, and then it becomes like you start connecting to people, and then at some point you just like getting invites from other people to go to conferences and stuff. But I do apply to the ones that I like the mission, because one thing that I do not do is charge for conferences. So I don't charge events and stuff to go speak there. And if they offer something that's like, I'd rather get tickets and just give the tickets out to other communities or people that cannot afford and stuff like that. So I like to pick the places the events that I speak at. So so to make sure that we are in the same page on why we're doing this. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Good for you, man. That's a great way to give back. You know, since we're talking about that, we should probably also talk about your next speaking engagement. What conference are you going to be at next? Let's promote that and talk about it.
Yeah, so because I changed jobs recently, I gave it a pause because focusing in two big things at once, it's kind of hard.
Sure.
So I was like, I paused for a little bit, but I'll probably be coming back as of next year, because I'm finishing writing a bunch of new content on design and machine learning and AI, ethics, biases, and all this kind of stuff. So I'll be putting them out in a more consistent basis, and then I'll have more time and headspace to do this again, because it is consuming. And right now, with the new job and just getting my head around the financial industry, which is a new industry for me, it's taking a lot of energy. So I put, at least for this year, put it on pause. But probably as of like January or February, I'll be back in the game and just be speaking regularly again.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people don't realize to do a talk. I mean, it can sometimes, to prepare it, can take a lot of time. It can take hours, days. Thinking through it, writing it all out, doing the slides.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you have to travel, like when I went to Florida, is like it's more two-way flights for like 14-hour each leg, and you have the time they're going to be there, so that becomes a week, and then becomes like it takes a lot of energy. So you need to be in the right frame of mind to do this kind of stuff.
You should create artificial intelligence slides that just automatically change when it thinks that you're done. Okay, he wants to go to the next slide now. It's going to go.
Oh shit, that's a great idea, actually. Oh my god, this gave me a startup idea.
I was going to ask you, I know that you are a musician as well, and we were talking to someone a little bit ago about how you should, a good way for people to not get stressed out about what they do is to diversify their passions. Yeah. And, not just belong to, say, one community, like this is what I do all day. I'm in front of a screen and that's who I am, but also to step away from that and have, a quote unquote, another life that's doing something else that you could put some of your heart and soul into. And I think probably being a musician and playing helps you get away from all this. And I don't want to use the term, but I'll say unplug and get on your acoustic guitar and play some songs. So you said you would agree to play a good 45 minutes for us, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. I'll grab my guitar over here. 1 second. Yeah, but
He's an electric guitar, Frederick. He can't unplug.
Yeah, I was about to make that joke.
Oh, Ish
I missed it. So yeah, it is a great way because I got home and then my wife also plays. So sometimes we just sit down and go play stuff and then record videos together, and we write together and stuff. So it's just like get off the computer, get off all the AI taking over the world worries, and just going into this kind of different thing. And I'm also doing something with my hands that's not typing, which is great. So it's an awesome way to unplug. But yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a musician per se, because music, like all the other stuff, I just learn by myself and I do things that I think
just
right.
because you learned it by yourself doesn't mean anything. Like you didn't go to a musician school or whatever it's called. You didn't go to that Fame High School. I mean, I think you're a really good musician. And we'll put a link in the show notes to your YouTube channel, and people could hear. Like I can't get that song out of my head though.
Oh, the
Christmas song. Yeah, I love that. I've been listening to that all day, and like all day I was like in meetings, and I'm like, it's really good.
It's catchy. It's good. It's good.
It's really catchy, man. Yeah. How about one song? You play us a little bit?
I think I can actually. Wait. This is the tuning of this. Yeah. Shit. Now I don't know what to play.
How about that song?
Shit. I don't know how to.
The Christmas song.
It's in a different tuning, so I'll have to tune the whole guitar. Hide and seek. Yeah. I've been playing hide and seek with those feelings and memories. And it goes like that for like another 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. You sound great. I told you I want an album on Spotify.
Yeah, it goes with the thing that you just said, because I'm always my wife keeps telling me like, you should record, you have like hundreds of songs and stuff. But I have this, it's gonna sound silly and it's gonna sound weird, but I have this thing that I'm afraid that, because my wife loves it, she thinks she thinks that all my songs are great, and she thinks everyone is gonna love them as well, and I'm afraid that she's right. And that, let's say I record something and it's actually people like it, and for some reason it becomes a job, and then I take the joy out of it. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
No, I don't think that's weird. I totally understand what you're saying, and I completely appreciate it. You know, obviously on the other side of the token, I still want to hear it, and people could argue both ways to say, oh, you're crazy, put it out there, let's see what happens. But I mean, yeah, you just want to just put it out there just for fun.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
What would you do if a label came up to you and it's like, hey, we want to give you $12 million to make an album with you? Would you just be like, I'm sorry, it's deep in my heart, it's something I want to do? I mean, what would you do?
I mean, everything does have a price tag, so I think I would do it. I would do it just to see what the hell would happen. But it's not something that I seek or anything. It was in the past, but nowadays I don't know. It's just it's a different thing for me right now.
Did you used to have a group of people or a band or anything like that when you were younger?
Yeah. Like I did, like when I was at 15 or 16. I'm a punk rock kid, and like I write and like very political songs and all that. So I had like a punk rock band back in Brazil like years ago, and we were playing in a few states and touring in Brazil, but like very small touring, like garage band kind of touring.
Yeah.
And but my dream was to make it as like a musician and be like one of the big punk rock singers in Brazil and stuff. So yeah, at some point it was a thing, but I think I have other goals right now.
where would you want to be big if you ended up being a big musician? Would you want to be U.S. big, Europe big, Brazil big? Like, where do you want to be the musician? Is it still your home or?
Depends. Like if it's with the acoustic folk stuff that I play nowadays, it has more market like Europe wise. But if it was like the punk rock stuff, I really want to send some messages to Brazilian politicians. So I would rather do it in Brazil and kick some PAs and all that.
Who did you listen to growing up? What was your inspiration?
Oh shit. There's a lot of stuff like Brazilian old punk rock stuff. There's a band in Brazil called Dead Fish, which is great. The name just gives it away. That's like a bunch of kids screaming stuff. And my dad is a big fan of like Brazilian. In Brazil we call like MPB. It's like a Brazilian popular music, but it's not like popular like pop, but old Brazilian kind of thing. I don't know how to define it, but it was very like focused in Brazil. So yeah.
You mean like politically?
No, politically there's some really good like punk rock Brazilian bands like Ratos de Porão, which is like underground rats or something, and and this band like Dead Fish and shit. Oh, they're blank in my head now. But these are mostly political hardcore stuff. And from my dad, I got a lot of the, like more chill guitar, kind of bossa nova vibe kind of thing that I got more from my dad.
That's awesome. So what about what let me ask you, we were talking about music. Where are you getting your inspiration for, say, your work now? Like, who do you look at as far as this is a hero in my work or my professional life?
I mean, musically or
no. I mean in your professional life, not musically.
Okay, professional. Holy shit, that's a good one.
Or if you don't want to say a hero, maybe an organization that you look at for inspiration. Like, you might go to this and this, or, hey, I listen to this on NPR, or, I like this website.
It goes to Thunder Nerds. I mean, come on.
On NPR? Yeah, totally. Oh, Thunder Nerds. As everyone should.
A few people asked me similar questions before, and I'm increasingly, more and more don't have an answer to it, because the way that I'm consuming content nowadays is more like I go picking up things everywhere just to try a bit like unbias myself a little bit. But I do listen a lot to Vox. They have their YouTube channel, their podcast, and it's very, very interesting. And they talk a lot on YouTube. They have a lot of stuff about science. About they have a show called Borders.
I love that show. It was amazing.
It's insanely great. So I love that. I really like it. And they have their daily podcast as well that I listen to every day. The Today Explain. So that's this part. But design wise, Design Life. Design Life is one that I listen a lot. It's with Charlie. You guys talk to her?
Yeah.
Charlie and Femke.
Yeah.
And I'm in their community. Very great. A lot of great people in their community.
Yeah, and the podcast is great, and it's good for me because they talk a lot about like stuff for people that are beginning their careers and stuff that's I might have like lost touch with, and it's sometimes a very good reminder of things that I might not think about it all the time, and also just to see like how people getting into the area now are seeing things. So I really like that point of view. Technology wise, I love the Charge podcast. It's a tech podcast with Owen. He used to be a writer for the Next Web and some other big outlets, and it's really good. It's very good. Yeah, I think those are the things. I don't think I have a company that I look up to very much. I really like the GitLab because they're very open, and I really like the openness, and they're truly open. Because like once when I was like looking into movie jobs and so on, I asked the question to someone, and the recruiter's like, oh yeah, I asked the question internally, and then she just sent me the link to like an issue in their own HR board it's on the internet, and you go like, holy shit, yeah, that's transparency next level, and that's something that I'm very fond of. And yeah, I think those are some of the companies things that I look up to in companies and so on.
Nice. Brian?
I like to do. I know Janelle's not here. I'd like to take a little bit of time to do the like a brief lightning round. If
Oh,
go
sure.
for it. Yeah.
Go ahead. Start off.
This is if you did have a monkey, what would you name it?
What would I name it? Oh, Jesus, what would I name it? Jonathan. I think is a great name.
What's your favorite video game that you're playing right now?
Spider-Man. It's great.
What's something you're addicted to?
Oh shit.
There's so many things.
You can say
Yeah,
video
there's
game.
so many things. It's not video games. I think it's addicted. Oh, that's hard. Shit.
You can
I
pass
think
if you like.
I think reading because I read way too much. Not just like books and stuff, but like articles. I'm all that. Sometimes it's a bit unhealthy. My will to keep myself updated, and I might be a little bit addicted to that. And Twitter.
Then I'll ask, what's your favorite thing that you're reading right now?
Cultural Map. It's a book about cultures and how communication flows between peoples from different backgrounds and different countries. It's very good, especially if you work in a company that is international. It's really, really good. So far, I haven't finished it.
Favorite food of choice.
Rice and beans. Very Brazilian.
What is your favorite thing about yourself?
Oh. Doesn't matter how bad things are. I think I can still have a good laugh at it, and I think that's good. Keeps me sane, and also the people around me. So that's one.
Okay.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee, 100%.
If you walked into your house and you saw a ghost, what would you do?
Maybe charge rent and just ask to stay because I have questions.
I love that charge.
Nice.
Okay, we're running low on time. I want to ask my quick spotlight question. If you're down with that, Frederick.
Yeah, it's up to Pedro. I know we're running short on time, and it's like his 1 in the morning.
I know. So this question is it's kind of a group question. It's kind of to get to know you a little bit. And we go first, you go last. They say that everyone has a book in them. What would your book be about?
Okay, you go first, Brian.
I know the pressure's on, and I didn't think about this question, so I just kind of came up with it. I think mine would actually be about. I actually have books that I'm writing, but the main one I'm most passionate about is about poverty and immigration, and like the homeless people and the things that the trials they go through, and what their day to day is like, and that would probably be what it would be about. Frederick?
Mine's easy. I'm gonna do a hard ditto because I feel the exact same kind. You could what me all you want, but I feel literally exactly the same way about you do on that subject. We've had that conversation.
Didn't give Pedro enough time.
Yeah, that's true. I was like, just so I know the question again. So it's if there was a book about myself, what would it be about?
They say that everyone has a book in them. What would your book that you would write be about?
Oh, okay. Book in me. Okay. About doing the things you're not supposed to, I think. Because everything that led me to where I am is doing things people told me I couldn't or that I shouldn't. And like literally everything that led me here is about this. And I have a passion about this on the because you're not born in this country, so you can do things this way, or you're not from a specific subset of society, so you shouldn't do those things.
You didn't get a college education, blah blah blah.
Yeah, right? I had lots of you can'ts in my life, and I just raised a gigantic middle finger to all of them. So I think that will be the thing I would write about, was just like doing what you're not supposed to.
Was that the middle finger that we saw? Was that what that was?
Yeah, this one.
That's a great point, though. I mean, I think that's super sincere, and I think everybody could really get a big lesson in that, because we all have those moments where it's either that self-doubt or something like that, and it's hard to overcome. But it's really about, if you want to do it, just don't listen to that shitty voice in your head telling you don't, or those shitty people telling you don't.
Yeah.
Ignore those fleshy walls and step right on through, and find your success and own your own reality. And I guess with that, we have one last question that we'd love to ask everybody, and because we're right at the end here, and I want to be respectful of your time, is if you have any kind of final words for our audience. Maybe you want to say something to the designers out there coming up in the industry, or as something about one of your talks, something about AI, any kind of just final words of wisdom.
I think it's more to people that are, maybe they're not even listening because they're not in the area, but people that are maybe just getting started or not on the design world, that you don't need to comply to all those cliches of what a designer is and what a designer looks like. A designer is not about that, and I think that's basically it. Just those things, those people on Twitter and those design gurus and those dribble famous, don't fall for that. Just do your thing, do the best you can, and just make a difference somehow. And I think that's enough. That's my final word.
I love that, man. That's great. Hey, what's obviously we'll put links in the show notes, but what's the best way people could get a hold of you? Where do you want them to go?
On Twitter, 100%. I'm always there. Way more than I should.
And your Twitter handle is?
Oh shit, I always forget. I think it's
P.
Marquez. P. Marquez, like Marquez. Yeah, P. Marquez.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, great. Well, hey, Pedro, thank you so much for just staying up this late with us and spending the time, and two, just really sharing and opening up and helping us all understand ourselves a little bit better, and the community, and what's going on in the tech and design world. Really appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate the space. I appreciate the invite and everything. This is really, really, really awesome, and I'm really happy that I could be part of this. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, thanks, man. And just to everybody out there, we got one more show coming up for this season, for season 3. It's this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And please go to the YouTubes, like we said, the iTunes, and thundernerds.io/review. Give us a review. Go to patreon.com/thundernerds. Brian?
That's pretty much it.
Bye, everybody. Love you. Eat Alton Brown's meatloaf. I'm Brian.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Doodles.